Manik, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
When I talk to people outside of Silicon Valley and outside of US, there are less than a handful of companies that are really excited about. And one of the companies obviously is the behemoth called Google. And all the, from young kids to emerging entrepreneurs, they all want to connect with companies like Google. So it's wonderful to have you, and I want to draw some nuggets out of you so we can inspire and empower the ecosystem out there.
Of course.
Talking about Google Maps, which you have been dealing with, after a long time, I leveraged Uber in India. Okay. Every Uber guy depends his livelihood on Google Maps. So it has become a part and parcel of our lives. So it'll be good to understand, how we got here, and then what's the next wave of Google Maps.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Google Maps was a project for one engineer at Google. So we had MapQuest and Yahoo Maps, and one of the engineers at Google said, you know what, I can do better. And they created Google Maps from their 20% project. And it just started from there. And before we knew, it became such a big thing. And then, obviously our co-founders figured out that, okay, this is really important because everything revolves around where you are and where you want to go. Eventually, you will see from the big Google, which our bread and butter is ads. If you get an ad based on searching, and today 60% of all the searches on google.com have a location context to it. So you're searching for a restaurant around you, you're searching for a nanny around you, you're searching for a hospital around you. You could pick anything. It's basically around where you are. So we have to know where you are at any given time. So that's where it's going. But it started from a curious engineer thinking they can do better. And that's the advantage that Google gives you, and that's why a lot of people want to come to Google, because they have aspirations, they are curious people, and they're smart, intelligent, and they get that platform at Google to do that outside of just their normal jobs. So that's what Google is. And in Google Maps, I was talking about it in the panel, that when the journey started with maps, for all of us, it was hundreds of years. It was a static map. The first map of the world probably was in the 6th or 7th century on a stone, right? And then eventually paper was invented, and then we had paper maps, and all of us went from one state to another, getting a AAA map and traveling, right? And then eventually we came up to a digital map, and that's where MapQuest came in, and Yahoo Maps, and then Google Maps eventually. But they were still static. Even though it was digital, it was still static, it was not dynamic. And recently, as 7 to 10 years ago, the maps became dynamic. It started moving with you. So it became more interesting. Now you are seeing things as they are moving, so you can follow the path, etc. And where we are today is the maps are intelligent, so they know the traffic patterns. They know where things are moving around you, so they can tell you that, hey, that's what's going on. And that is possible because of all the connected devices. There are obviously 7 billion humans, 1 billion plus cars, and 20 billion plus connected devices out there. So when the devices are connected, every connected device has a location. So based on that, you get information, and through machine learning today, that's where the predictable phase comes in, which is the last wave of what we may enter. We are right now in the intelligent phase, but we're going to the predictable phase, that it will tell you in advance, if I have to go home now, it will say if you have to reach in a particular time, you better leave now, because it knows based on historical data as well as what's happening now. It makes multiple iterations of all that, history as well as current, and gives you advice on how you should do and when you should do. So that's what the exciting part is, and a lot of businesses will be created based on the predictability of where you are as compared to where you want to go.
Look at pure technology, Google was, that's how it started, based on algorithms, big data, okay, part of IoT, now AI, and then we should call it blockchain and moving forward. So it encompasses pretty much everything that you can think of. The question is for young professionals who always aspire to come and work for companies like Google, where do you see the trends and where should they focus on so they can someday, come and work for companies like Google?
Yeah, I mean, the cloud and cloud and all these jazzy things that you hear about is not the end of the world. There's still, end of the day, we still do human things, and people forget that, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do outside of just machine learning and cloud and mobile. There's so many other things you can do, but you can leverage the technology to make lives easier. There's still a lot of things that are frustrating for all of us, because people, the smart minds, get attracted towards all these algorithms and all these numbers, that they forget there's, every day we get up, we need somebody to make a cup of tea for us, right? Or clean up our house, or, do chores and, take our kids somewhere. So those things are still happening. And obviously they can leverage the technology, but there are still other things other than just making a fancy app on a smartphone. The other things you can do to make lives easy. And I think people are kind of forgetting that part. Hopefully, the new generation that are coming up will say, okay, we got the internet, we got the cloud. It's all about connected devices and AI right now, and VR and all that stuff. But there's still, we have to do things on a day-to-day basis. They're a mundane job that we do, and how do you make that interesting so that people, instead of thinking about that, can enjoy more time with family, have more dinners together, talk about things, because that human touch is slowly going away. Right. And that's what I'm always worried about, that, hey, people should understand that technology should be a multiplier to help you, not take you away from the interesting things of us staying as humans, not becoming machines.
So technology should be leveraged to make human life better,
exactly,
enjoyable.
Yeah.
I want to lastly ask you about teams and leadership in teams. Mm-hmm. Again, for big companies, the big challenge for them is to be always, consistently evolve and keep abreast of the innovation. Mm-hmm. There's always some other startup doing something that will beat you at some point.
Absolutely.
So as teams, how do you make it very challenging, interesting, and innovative at the same time?
Yeah, I mean that's very difficult. First of all, you need to have the people, the right people, right? And I tell my sales management teams that as a manager, you're only as good as your people. Right? So it's very important to hire the right people, and I think Google does a pretty good job at that, because we get a lot of people who want to come to Google, so we are very selective, so we get lucky that way. But the second thing is, once you get the people, then how you get them motivated. And it's not just saying that we will empower you, you really empower them. So at Google, the decision starts from down up, not from top down. And that was difficult for me in the beginning when I joined Google, because I was from a culture where I would come in and I have the experience of doing things, and I would come in and talk about, okay, this is the way we're going to do it. And so when I joined Google, they would say, but why? And say, oh, I didn't hear that before, but that was important. Why? And okay, then explain why, and then say, okay, how about this? And they give their reason. I say, actually, that's not a bad idea. So if you let people communicate, if you let people collaborate, you'll be surprised that you may sometimes hear better things. And it's not always about just doing the job. I'll just give you an example of how Google Maps was created, how Gmail was created. It was all because of a 20% project of an engineer who was let to do anything they want, leveraging the infrastructure of Google, and let their curiosity go and have fun with it. And people, when they get that, they can really do interesting things.
That's right. Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.